Hi guys, Ronnie here and welcome to the workshop. Unfortunately nowadays we don't get too many new bikes or bike builds due to the shortages caused by the pandemic, but today I have one very interesting frame set for you to describe, so without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so what we have here is a Lapierre Aircode DRS disc frame set, and it's essentially a competitor to the likes of the Cannondale System 6, the S-Works Venge, etc. So it's a full-on aero race bike with all the features you would expect, but it's probably the brand not too often considered when choosing these bikes, which I think is a great shame, and that is why I have included it in this lineup, and that's why I'm making this video to show you the features, because, well, last time when I was reviewing my tarmac, I was criticized for not talking about the frame's value and price relative to others. Well, what this Lapierre excels in is, apart from performance, is value also, but let's talk about the features of the frame set first. So, as I said, disc brake aero frame set, all the modern stuff you would expect, and starting from the fork and headset area. So, being this French bike, we have the Mavic speed release dropouts, front and rear also. And the weird thing on the front is that actually the axle bolts from the drive side, a bit unusual, but it is present on some bikes. We do have an insert for the thread that's replaceable, and you actually do get a replacement thread with the frame set, so that's one of the things that you don't normally see with other brands. The paint job is this beautiful metallic red transitioning into matte black areas at the seat posts and the logos. The front of the bike is fully integrated. The headset now isn't fully assembled, but it's a proprietary design. Nice big bearings bottom and top. You also do get a piece of protective tape in case you fully extend the handlebar. So the frame is protected, and the fork as well. One thing that surprised me is that you only get one 10mm spacer for the headset, but probably on an aero bike, if you're into this sort of bike, then you'll be slamming it anyway, or this 10mm spacer will do. The stem is proprietary and it's included with the frame set. This is a size medium and it comes with a very standard 100mm stem. The cables, actually both electronic and mechanical drivetrains are accepted, and they're all routed through the head tube area into the stem and into the handlebar through, should I say, a centrally located port and off to the sides. The handlebar also comes with the frame set. Again, that's pretty unusual. For example, with the specialized frames, you don't get handlebars, so that's less value right there. Again, very standard 42cm size for this medium frame set. You do get 40 with an S and a 44 with an L, so pretty standard. Maybe not quite the most modern setup. Narrower and narrower bars are coming into trend now, so yeah, but you do get a flattened top and pretty compact geometry when looking at the drops, so nothing unusual there. One thing worth mentioning is the stem faceplate. It does accept GoPro style accessory mount, which is included, so you can have all your devices attached there securely. Then going further down, nice big beefy transition area. Kind of reminds me of the Venge Vice, had a similar shape going on around here. Then the down tube actually not that huge. You do get one pair of bottle bosses, so no multiple position mounting here. Down to the bottom bracket area, again not massively oversized, particularly due to the BB86 shell. That's pretty common nowadays. It's a press fit design, but it's one of the least problematic ones, so no big deal there. As I said, routing for mechanical and electronic drivetrains right there. The front hanger mount is removable, which I think is appropriate for an aero bike. If you're using it for flatter courses, you might just go one by, and then it makes it extra clean. The seat tube painted in matte black with a pretty traditional external binding color, so that should be extremely secure and much less finicky than an internal wedge type design. The seat post itself, now that also is quite unusual. The seat post you can see here is the offset version, so it has 20mm offset to the back, but in the frame set you also do get an inline version, which I'm going to show you in a moment. It might not make too much sense as it is, but I'm going to explain that a bit later on. The handlebar might give you some hints about that. So obviously the frame is UCI approved. It's used by the Francis Deger squad to great effect. Arnaud Demar has won many races and Tour de France stages, etc. on this bike, so certainly there's no lack in terms of performance, and also really quite like the design and the paint job. The finish is pretty high quality as well, so not no any real issues there. Let's get to the rear dropout. As I said, compatible with Mavic's speed release, with a little recess in there on the non-drive side chainstay for the caliper bolts, so pretty neat. On the drive side we do have again a replaceable insert for the tread, and also obviously a replaceable derailleur hanger. One other notable thing about the seat cluster, this is pretty typical for Lapierre frames. In order to allow for more flex on the seat tube, the junction here is actually separated somewhat, so you have more possibilities for the seat tube to flex. It's not as dramatic on this bike as opposed to their climbing and endurance bikes, but still it's a feature. And one thing they really wanted to achieve with this bike is that it's not rattling you around on the road. So apart from the aero features, it can bring you a little bit of comfort as well. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the frame set. I really quite like it so far. Let's talk about the things you don't normally get with other brands and why I think it's a pretty good value as it is. Okay, here we have laid out all the things that come with the frame set. Let's talk about the obvious ones first. So you do get a replacement derailleur hanger right here. The thread is inside there, so in case you manage to mangle it somehow, you can easily replace that. One thing that I'm lacking a little bit, particularly that these bikes often come equipped with Shimano group sets, is that there's no option of direct mount derailleur hanger, so maybe that could be improved. This is the replaceable thread insert for the fork, as I mentioned earlier. Rear triaxle, nice and flush, with the Allen key hole just like it should be, but actually you do get this removable little handle here, which you can use for training, so you don't need to carry a hex wrench, but I do anyway. Then you get some blanking ports, etc. for the frame. Expander plug, pretty basic design, but that's kind of necessary for the fork. And we have the integrated top cap, of course, then the aforementioned GoPro style mount, which actually is aluminum, so you don't really see that very often. Unfortunately, none of the inserts are included so not even for Garmin. It should be the most typical, but this is a pretty common standard nowadays with Trek and BMC bikes using it, so you can buy a multitude of different mounts very cheaply online. So this way at least you get exactly what you need. Then we also get bar tape, which is a bit surprising. Again, you don't normally get that with frame sets, at least not the ones that I work with. Then we have some guides for the internal routing. This is some shrink wrapping tube, finishing tape for the bar tape. So this is the pretty standard stuff. And this is the part I want to talk about that's not that common. So as I said, you do get one seat post which is set back. That's perfectly fine for road riding. However, if you decide to dabble in time trials or you have a hilly triathlon, etc., then you have the option of the aforementioned inline seat post to make your position more aggressive. And you also can accompany that with a proper integrated aero bar solution. So again, these are available with some other manufacturers, but not quite to the extent that we have here. So you have one for specialized bikes that you clamp on the stem, but that is in no way adjustable, and it's more like an ITU style, even the long one, just a short aero bar, not a full length one. So yeah, not ideal for time trialing. You also do have the option of outfitting the Trek Madone with the Speed Concept cockpit, or at least the upper part of it. That is more adjustable, but only in terms of reach and the shape of the extensions. This, however, you can fully adjust with stack. Obviously you can't stack it up sky high like you get with TT bikes of tall riders, but you do get, I would say, at least 30 mm of adjustment here. You do get all the accompanying hardware and bolts that you need for that. The position of the elbow pads are adjustable as well, of course, and while they might not look extremely supportive or huge, perhaps not the most modern design, but actually the base is made of carbon fiber, so it's not that flexi plastic that you often get with stock solutions. The extension poles are pretty modern, I should say. Relatively high rise, nice carbon fiber units as well, and they're a bit specific in the way that you adjust their reach by positioning them in various holes that are drilled, but otherwise the standard 22.2 extensions, so perhaps you could do that with other ones if you can drill them precisely, which shouldn't be that much of a problem with proper equipment. So yeah, I was actually quite surprised to see that. Also, there's the possibility of routing the cable for satellite shifters internally and down into the handlebars, so yeah, that's pretty neat as well. Okay, so this pretty much sums it up for the Lapierre frame set. I think it's a pretty good alternative to brands that are more commonly used nowadays. I think performance-wise it should be up there as well, and the price is relatively nice, particularly if you consider all the stuff that you get with the frame set. Really, you only need a saddle, a group set, and a pair of wheels to go with it, and you can get rolling. But obviously there are some nice pre-built specs as well. But one thing that should be noted is full bikes don't get this higher grade carbon frame set. This is normally reserved only for the team, so it's significantly lighter, should be the same stiffness, but yeah, as I said, it's higher quality than what you get in the pre-built bikes, so definitely worth checking out. Okay, so that's it about the Aircode. I'm actually considering building one for myself just to try it, but we'll see about that in the future when group sets become a little bit easier with the availability. For now, I'm sticking with the Tarmac. If you'd like to see more about the bikes that I build and work on, then don't forget to tune into the channel later on and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.